Hi, I'm Jade Morford. This is my wife, Tracy. We've been coming to Main Street for 10 years. We have 3 daughters, Sam, Lucy, and Courtney.
Tell us our journey of how God has grown you in this discipline and then joy of generosity.
A couple of years ago, well, 2.5 years ago, my dad had passed away. And we got a little bit of money from the sale of that house. And we had never been giving regularly. We would give what we could here and there. But interestingly, we get this check, which is, more money than we've seen in a long time. And we kind of looked at this check, and I just had this, God was speaking to me and basically saying, you need to tithe this. You are not to touch this money until you have given 10% of this. But it opened up a whole can of worms, a lot of reflection and questions about why was it that we had to tithe that, but we couldn't seem to tithe the money that we were bringing in from our work. And part of it, I thought, well, maybe it was because we hadn't worked for this money that came to us. We hadn't earned it. It wasn't our money. This was purely a gift from God. So we had to give back what was God's. But then I thought, well, isn't the money that we make also from God, or is it different if we have worked to earn it versus it was just a gift giving to us? So it was I think that situation really helped to open our eyes, that how we were viewing the income that was coming in from our own work, our own labor, our own struggles. Ultimately, it still came from God. It was provision from God, and we also needed to be tithing that. And it didn't matter if we had other expenses, and we just, at the end of the day, it was just a step out of the boat. Just take a step forward and be obedient, and that's what we started doing from that point on.
I remember the messages that I've heard in the past of the rooms in a house where okay, God, you can have all of this, but just don't go into this room. And it's kind of like, well, you can. Why can't he go into this room? Why can't? So it was a control issue, a trust issue, and it's just a matter of letting go and saying, if I can trust you with all of the rest of things, why can't I trust you with the smaller things? Why can't I trust you with my finances?
Why do you think God is so interested in being Lord of our finances?
I think he just wants all of us. I think it's an act of surrender. It's an act of trust. I think it's part of worship as well. We worship through what we are given, and I think worship it can manifest in many different ways. And I think that tithing is a part of that. And it's just being completely surrendered to God at the end of the day. And we weren't there for a lot, and we still have other rooms that I'm sure have closed doors, and we're growing on this journey. But it took a lot of seeds being planted over the years. When we even considered, well, this is what God wants us to do with that money, is to tithe that. All of those little seeds along the years, those messages come back. And
look back and
see how God was working along it. I feel like it took us a really long time to get to that point, but we're there now. And we have money, like we have points where we kind of wonder, are we going to be able to pay all of our bills this month? It'll feel tight, but at the end of the day, there's no extra money that's coming in, but we don't have it's kind of an illogical.
yeah,
it somehow always works out.
works.
I can't explain it. It just does.
How would you encourage someone to begin to be obedient in this and learn to become more generous in their life? What would you say to them?
You just have to trust and make that first step. It's surprising, and then as we just said, you look back, and and you can see how it was so frightening at the beginning, and then it becomes more easy as time passes. Really.
Yeah. Once you call it the step out of the boat moment, you have to just trust. You have to take a step forward in faith, and God will always meet you there. Neither of us came from a Christian background. The only reason that we are here, obviously God has led us here, but we have benefited greatly from the different programs at the church and people reaching out to us. Our kids are growing up in this, and that takes investment from people giving to that. And the only reason that we are where we are is because we have benefited from those things as well.
So you as a couple represent hundreds of people in our church who are faithful and have learned this discipline and joy of giving. But what I want to do just for a moment is I want you guys to be the face of those hundreds of people that give week in and week out to support the ministry and the work here at Main Street Church. And so I just want you to sit there. You don't have to say anything, but there's a few people who want to come and say a few things to you guys as just a thank you as you represent the hundreds of people that give to this church day in and day out.
Because of your generosity, there is young people, a resilient group of young people that meet week in and week out that are excited to know about God, and there is a community being developed because of your faithfulness.
I'm Les Telville with the Sire Center, and I just want to thank you for your faithfulness and your generosity. It goes beyond allowing Main Street to keep their lights on. It allows Main Street to partner with individuals and organizations in our community. We're seeing bellies of hungry kids being filled. We're seeing kids who would be homeless or wandering the streets, being unsafe, having a safe, warm place to stay in, a bed to sleep in. We're seeing families restored because of this generosity that you represent. And it's allowing us to engage in relationships with the youth, and it's saving lives, not just for today, but it's saving lives for eternity. And what a great gift. So thank you so very much.
I just wanted to thank you personally for your contributions to the church. Through your contributions, I got to go across the world and serve in New Zealand. And from there, got to go to Papua New Guinea and Australia as well. And my life took a 180, and I got to use that as an opportunity to pour into so many other young adults and youth around the world. And still to this day, I get to continue in discipling them, and all that thanks to your contributions to the church to send me out there. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
On behalf of Main Street Young Adults, we are just so appreciative and blessed for your generous giving. It has provided a place for community and a place for family and a place to be surrounded by those who want to better themselves and to be surrounded by encouragement and that good Jesus love through the many dark valleys and trials that we go through, and the wonderful struggle of becoming an adult. Thank you.
I'm Taylor. I just wanted to say thank you for your generosity. As in youth ministry right now, our senior high girls are learning to pray for each other and step out of their comfort zones in that. So it's really cool to just be able to see all of that from part of your generosity. So thank you.
Hey. I'm Nate. This is my wife, Christy.
Hi.
And we just want to be here and say thank you. Thank you for your faith, for your generosity. Because of that, our family, you may not know it, may not realize it, maybe you are now, has really been impacted.
The time that you invest in Main Street Church makes a huge difference for our family. Our kids have found a place where they belong and are growing spiritually, and they miss it here with being off, but the time that you guys invest makes a huge difference for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Because of people like you, this is the church where I met Jesus. The morning that God told me that I needed to go to church, this is the church that I came to. And I discovered that the hole in me wasn't because I was lacking, it was because I was lacking Jesus. This church is the place where I've met my husband and have my children and have things that I never thought I would have. So I want to thank you for your irrational generosity that really has given so many people so much. Thank you.
So that's just a little taste of what happens when we become generous. And you represent, as I said, hundreds of people in our church that give in and day out and are faithful in being obedient to putting God first in all areas of your life, specifically in the area of generosity. And we're just want to say thank you to you guys as the face today of all those people. And thank you for sharing your story